That wonderful season of the year with Advent and Apocalypse, and, well, probably more importantly, deer hunting. I'm back in Michigan now. I realize that deer hunting season has its own rituals, and it's been a long time. The last time I went deer hunting, I was in college, and I went with my big brother, who turned 70 yesterday. It was so much fun to give him that card. He gets him back for. See, we went deer hunting. Me with my trusty single shot Remington 16 gauge shotgun and slugs, and him with his 30-06 and his scope. You notice any inequity there? And we walked, I don't know, 60 miles into the woods. Yeah. And finally came to this little thing that my third grade friend and I wouldn't even have called a treehouse, but it was stuck up on the side of a tree, and we went up there and sat with cold feet and snow and 25 degrees and sat there. And sat there. And sat. Now, I've been hunting many times with my brother, hunting pheasant, which is another story, but I like to tell that one. And sat there. And sat there. And sat there. And sat there. Bam! Oh. Stay awake! That was his way of waking me up. Probably scared all the deer away, too. That reminds me of a Thanksgiving when I fell asleep in the chair and he ran over and went, "Fire! Fire!" And I ran outside before I realized it. I have to watch out for my brother. Mark says, "Stay awake. Stay awake." You know, it's really easy when nothing's going on to fall asleep. Anybody else have that problem? It was the most boring thing I'd ever done in my life. You know, I guess if we'd seen a deer, it might have been more exciting. It's hard to stay awake when it doesn't feel like much of anything's going on. Jesus says to his disciples, the time's coming. It's just around the corner. He said that 2,000 years ago. I don't know about you, but sitting in a deer stand for 2,000 years waiting for a deer to come by, I'm going to fall asleep. Well, what are we expecting? You read this text and the sun and the moon and the end days and the battles and it's like, what? That's not really what we're expecting at Christmas, is it? What were we expecting? What were they expecting when Messiah would come? They were expecting a great king, Rome to be tossed aside. You know, most of the time when I went hunting with my brother, it was hunting pheasant, which was a lot more fun because at least you got to walk through a field in October, and it was pretty. And we were about 5 of us one day hunting with some guys from his church in Reed City, and he had a couple dogs, and we liked to hunt with them because they were good pointers, they were good bird dogs. And we were walking this one cornfield, and we had 3 guys up on the ridge at the end of the cornfield, and the 3 of us walking the dogs across the cornfield toward them. And my position took me about from here to the doorway from a little swale. And we're walking along, and all of a sudden the dog went up on point. I'm right in the spot A. Because that means I might get a shot off before, you know, everybody else. My brother went boom, 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 and all the birds were down. So I, you know, waved my guns. The guys on the ridge would know we're going to kick up birds. And I set my single shot, and I got a little closer like this. And I went, go, to the dog. And the dog went in, and this 15,000 point buck came out of there. Right at me. My brother says one of the funniest things he ever saw was me trying to get out of the way of that deer. And not shoot myself in the process. Or it, for that matter. Sometimes we get what we don't expect, don't we? We're expecting one thing to happen and something else gets in its way. And I know that the very thought of the Messiah coming as a vulnerable, completely dependent little baby is just beyond their ken, beyond what they could even imagine, beyond what they could even believe. We know what we expect every year. You know, it's interesting. Every year we start to get excited about Christmas and about the birth and about the pageantry, and it's not like we haven't been there before. How can that be? You know, it's an interesting thing about us as humans. I only have to go, Two notes are used. Will rivet you in your seat. Somebody's swimming in the ocean and you hear, oh, the shark's coming. You know, that movie shows all the time on TV. We have the DVD. Okay, the extended director's, extra cut, no scene stuff. And every time it's on TV, we watch it. And then we sit there and complain about the scenes they cut out. To make room for the ads. Why don't you just put the DVD in? Oh, you've seen that movie. But if it's on, and the nice thing about it is you can fall asleep and wake up and you're right where you are. You've seen it enough, and oh yeah, this is it. Oh yeah, this is a great scene. And you know what's coming, but you're still there laying on that bowsprit with that rifle going, hit that kid, oh, he messed up, boom, yeah, blew up the shark. And, you know what's going to happen, we know how it ends, but we still watch it. Because there's something in us that wants to see that victory over evil and death and fear, and we rejoice when those polyfoam hunks of special effects shark go flying in the air, because we want it to happen. And somehow I think that's how we embrace Christmas year after year after year. We know what's going to happen. And for me, like, the decorations are just part of the attention, Bill. What might it mean this year? What might be different this year? What might it change in my life this year? If I only stay awake. Stay awake enough to experience it. Will I meet somebody new this year that will change how I look and feel and think? Will I encounter a child who will change my life? Will I find a family that I've missed for so many years? What will happen this year? What will happen this this year, if I could only stay awake long enough to find out. And not be put to sleep by the shopping and the wrapping and the driving and the visiting and all the stuff we do that makes us so tired. Because sometimes by the time Christmas gets here, all I want to do is sleep. Please let me sleep. Put some football games on so I can sleep. Jesus says, it's like this. It's like the owner went off on a trip and he left each person with their assigned task. And the gatekeeper at the gate to wait for the owner to return. How do we stay awake? We stay busy at our assigned tasks. You know, in an agrarian society, Jesus is talking, if the master's going to be gone and you don't know when they're coming back and spring comes, what do? You plant. Because we don't know if he's going to be back by the fall, but just in case, if we don't plant now, we're out of luck. And in the summer, if the master doesn't return, you water and you weed. And in the fall, if the master still hasn't returned, you harvest. I mean, you keep doing the things that you're assigned to do. That's how you stay awake. That's how you stay ready for the master's return. Because at any moment, he might just show up. And you'll know it when it happens because, read the text, you won't miss it. Nobody knows when that might be. But we know that in 4 weeks we celebrate a little piece of that. When we celebrate coming among us. What's going to be new this Christmas?